Hi guys, welcome to another video. Um, going to continue reading ahead today. He carried a single volume for the journey, a hardbound collection of short stories by Nikolai Gogol, which his grandfather had given him when he'd graduated from class 12. On the title page beneath his grandfather's signature, Ashok had written his own. Because of Ashok's passion for this particular book, the spine had recently split, threatening to divide the pages into two sections. His favorite story in the book was the last, the overcoat. And that was the one Ashok had begun to reread as the train pulled out of Hora station late in the evening with a prolonged and deafening shriek away from his parents and his 6 younger brothers and sisters, all of whom had come to see him off and had huddled until the last moment by the window, waving to him from that long, dusky platform. Just for those of you who might not know, there's another story by the name of The Overcoat, which is not by Nikolai Gogol, which is a story by Saadat Hasan Manto, which is about a man who purchases an overcoat, and that overcoat looks really fine from the outside. The man looks really fine from the outside until he has an accident, and they realize that when he's being operated or something like that, his wounds are being put medicine and band-aid and all of that stuff too. They realize that um, that inside the overcoat he was just wearing like torn, worn off shirt and whatever. That's another story, but this one is by Nikolai Gogol. And I already, I think, mentioned in one of the earlier videos that if you haven't read The Overcoat, please read it, because The Overcoat is one of the drivers of this story. Each time he was captivated by the absurd, tragic, yet oddly inspiring story of Akeki, the impoverished main character who spends his life meekly copying documents written by others and suffering the ridicule of absolutely everyone. His heart went out to poor Akeki, a humble clerk just as Ashok's father had been at the start of his career. Each time reading the account of Akeki's christening and the series of queer names his mother had rejected, Ashok laughed aloud. He shuddered at the description of the tailor with its deformed nail, of the tailor's big toe with its deformed nail as thick and hard as the shell of a tortoise. His mouth watered at the cold wheel and cream pastries and champagne. A cake he consumed the night his precious coat was stolen. In spite of the fact that Ashok had never tasted these things himself, Ashok was always devastated when a keki was robbed in, a square that looked to him like a dreadful dessert, leaving him cold and vulnerable. And Akeki's death some pages later never failed to bring tears to his eyes. In some ways, the story made less sense each time he read it. The scenes he pictured so vividly and absorbed so fully, growing more elusive and profound. Just as Akeki's ghost haunted the final pages, so did it haunt a place deep in Ashok's soul, shedding light on all that was irrational, all that was inevitable about the world. When you read the namesake, and because it has no beginning, middle, or end, it's just life happening over 40 years. Other than the overcoat being a driver of the story, they're all inevitable events that drive the story ahead, right? For example, someone died, someone was born, just things happening, life happening. Even those little elements of interpretation of the characters for that story, they reflect in the namesake. Just saying, that's how well Lahiri has played with um, with the text of Overcoat by Nikolai Gogol. Outside, the view turned quickly black, the scattered lights of Hora giving way to nothing at all. He had a second class sleeper in the seventh bogie behind the air conditioned coach. Because of the season, the train was specially crowded, specially filled with families on holiday. Small children were wearing their best clothing, the girls with brightly colored ribbons in their hair. Though he had his dinner before leaving for the station, a four-layer tiffin carrier packed by his mother sat at his feet. In the event that hunger should attack him in the night, he shared his compartment with three others. There was a middle aged Bihari couple who he gathered from overhearing their conversation had just married off their eldest daughter, and a friendly, pot bellied, middle aged Bengali businessman wearing a suit and tie by the name Ghosh. Ghosh told Ashok that he had recently returned to India after spending 2 years in England on a job voucher, but that he had come back home because his wife was inconsolably miserable abroad. Ghosh spoke reverently of England, the sparkling empty streets, the polished black cars, the rows of gleaming white houses, he said, were like a dream. Trains departed and arrived according to schedule, Ghosh said. No one spat on the sidewalks. It was in a British hospital that his son had been born. I think let's just leave it here today. Um, I'll add stuff to the notes, and because this was a lot already to read. Um, all I can say right now is just see how the narrative of the story is also being built, right? Because right now Ashok is about to have a child, but we're talking about Ashok's reading habits. We're learning about um, his journey, where he was perhaps reading the Overcoat once again, stuff like that. That's about it. If you guys like the video, which was perhaps just me reading a book, don't forget to give me a thumbs up as well as subscribe to the channel. See you guys soon with another one, and also don't forget to press the bell icon if you guys are waiting for another video to drop in.